Welcome. Welcome everyone who is watching from Overwhelm Solution for Moms. I'm Honor, and I'm so excited to be bringing a very special guest in tonight, Kristin Moyer Ford, who is a graduate of my Awaken Motherhood program and just a wonderful human. And she's volunteered to come and share about her experience in the program for all of you who are a part of the workshop now and who are considering coming to work with me and Coach Laney in Awaken Motherhood. Hi, Kristin. Will you just introduce yourself a little bit and say a little bit about you so people can get to know you?
Yeah. Hi, Honor. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am a graduate of Awakened Motherhood, and I am a mother of two. I got to the kid party a little bit late. My husband and I found each other a little later in life, and so we had our children. And now I'm raising a 17-year-old daughter, Lucy, and a 12-year-old son, Emmett, and doing that in the middle of perimenopause. So it's super fun. And all I can say is thank God for Honor.
We met at the right time.
Yes, we did. And it always happens. The timing is always right.
I love it. I love it. I like to sort of start these conversations by taking a look back to where you were before we met and before you made the decision to come and work with me at Awaken Motherhood. And I know this isn't everybody's favorite part, but it's so important for those listening to be able to connect with and understand and get clear about where they are stuck. And sometimes it's really helpful to hear where somebody else was. So, if you can think back to before we started working together, what was one of or a few of your biggest challenges that caused you to reach out for help that you were looking to change?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I was getting Honor's emails and seeing her stuff online for probably a good year and a half before I pulled the trigger. And I wish that I had done it earlier, but now that I understand truly where I was with everything, the timing really was right. So I try not to beat myself up about that. I just know that where I was very painful because my son was still young and he was the easier baby. And so I wasn't having communication problems with him like I was with my daughter. And she is also neurodivergent and has high sensory, she's a highly sensitive child. And she's had challenges since she was born with just being overstimulated by the world. Um, and it was so heartbreaking for me because I couldn't soothe her as a baby. And then as she was getting older and learning how to talk and her symptoms became even more prevalent, I couldn't communicate with her. And it wasn't because she couldn't speak, but it was because I was being triggered by her outbursts. And so it was such a painful time. I don't even like to look back there as far as how I felt, but the good that has come of it is that I see how far we've come because the work that I did, because I had to get to a place in my mothering where, and Honor really helped me with this, with receiving some grace for the phase that I was in and for the love that I was carrying for my child that I could not communicate to her. Things were getting in the way of us just just trying to love each other. Just, we would start off with this really special story time, or I would have this idea for, a mommy and me date that I would want to do and put together. And because something would affect her um, that she couldn't help, or because, I had this dream of always wanting to be a good listener for my daughter because I grew up in a really difficult home life. I had a very dysfunctional family. And while my husband and I work very intentionally to give her and my son not that, we're humans. So there's going to be dysfunction at some level and miscommunication, misunderstanding. And our kids are going to go through tough things. There's no protecting them from it. And so I always wanted to be a good listener for her emotionally, but I couldn't control my own emotions in the sense that when her crying and her screaming and her tantrums would start to go, my hypersensitivity in my ears, in my head, in my system, I could feel it in my body, would just, I mean, I would almost be shaking. And it would make me want to run away. It would either make me react in a way that would be hurtful to her, or it would make me run away, and my husband and I would have to like tag team each other, like you take her. But either way, it was horrible because I couldn't be the mom I wanted to be. Does that make sense? I mean, that was a long answer to your question, so
It
I'm
makes
sorry.
perfect sense. I know so many people who are listening can relate to this. I think just listening to your description of what happened for you and, physically and emotionally, being around her intense outbursts and intense emotions, she gets so escalated, it's hard for her to come down and regulate. So going into motherhood without knowing how to regulate your emotions and
Oh,
then having a kid like this who's very triggering. A lot of people I know will relate to this. Your nervous system is already in fight or flight. And I know you came in like that. We had that was our very first clarity call conversation. Like I have been a lifetimer in fight or flight.
I was like,
And
help me.
yeah, and now like my daughter's a teenager and we have we have a limited number of years to restart a connection and a really positive connection. And I can remember that, how much you wanted that. And I just knew that we were going to be able to help you to open that up. So tell us just real quick, what had you tried before coming to do this work of Awaken Motherhood?
Well, I'm a pastor's wife, and so I have had a strong faith in God for many years, still do. And I have tried everything from Bible study to therapy to, talk therapy, the CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. Um, Honor was the first person to introduce me to the concept of what trauma was doing to me and how it was affecting me physically and how that was affecting me mentally and spiritually. And so to me, it finally brought the piece together that was missing. I'd tried breathing exercises. I am a self-help book junkie and audiobook narrator. So I'm like grabbing for anything I can learn. And it's one thing to read those things, hear about those things from someone. It's another when someone takes you and walks you through it and sits with you and spends the time in those rough moments of I can't do this. Yes, you can. And this is how you do it, right? I'd always known, like, except for the trauma concept, with everything else, I had seen, read, heard about what to do. I just never knew how to do it. And so that was the missing piece.
I love that. Oh, sorry, there's the
No.
feedback again.
Oh,
Nutty. Sorry, you guys. It comes and goes. Um, I love that. It's so true. Kristen, everyone who I talk to is so smart. Everyone who comes to my workshops and people, the women who reach out to me for help are so bright and so smart and so educated on all the things about parenting and self work and have done a lot of beautiful healing things. And that piece is so true what you said. It's one thing to know about it. It's another thing to have someone love on you and walk you through integrating the steps into your whole self and then
yes,
into your family. And that's what we did
yes.
for you. And so, will you share a little bit about what is something that shifted? What are some of your biggest wins from the deep work that we did together?
So, totally understanding the concept of trauma and how that shows up in my body, that was a huge win for me. Just the exercises of stopping to notice, the stopping and the mindfulness was huge because we all get going on autopilot. This is the way I've always done it. We have da, 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 da. And I've got, as a mom, 5 million things on my list to get done that day, right? And none of them include taking care of me. So, the thing that really helped me with the program, in the deep work was understanding mindfulness and what that really means. It's more than just being aware. There is some tuning in you have to learn how to do and tuning into your body. So that was number one. Number two, understanding that I could make changes in the things that I felt like were controlling me and were making me the mom I didn't want to be, and that I had the power to make those changes. That light bulb moment and being able to start off my morning with, wait a minute, if I'm on an airplane and I'm with my kids and they drop those masks, it's time for me to really understand why I got to put that mask on first. The thought of either one of my children suffocating or dying because they couldn't get oxygen, because they couldn't get love and attachment from me, is sickening to me. And it is to any mom. And so I think um, the thought of my kids going out into the world and dealing with rejection and not feeling like their mother loved them or gave them the right information makes me sick. And we carry so much guilt, right, as moms. And I also learned how to keep that at bay and to understand that this doesn't have to be a complete, can I swear? I mean,
Yes.
doesn't have to be a complete shit
It
show in
show.
parenting. It doesn't. And because there's going to be plenty of those anyway that you can't control. So the fact that I learned that I could control my own little show was really exciting to me.
That's
So
so good.
taking the breathing to a different level, you gave us this amazing visual breathing exercise that I start every morning with. And um, it's just been wonderful to accompany my spiritual side.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too are curious, sort of, um, how am I how is my faith going to factor in or not factor in or conflict with my personal growth? Or is this a really spiritual program? That just comes to mind as we're talking about your spirituality. And you're a great example of someone who really grasped that you can take what you're learning and really implement it into strengthening your own faith. And do you have to be like totally crystal clear on your belief systems to do personal growth? No. But most of my clients most come from a Christian background, whether they are they feel like they're like actively growing spiritually now or not. Um, and it doesn't matter. But if you have a faith already, then this work is so empowering for that to strengthen that faith. And I know that was for you
Yes.
a big component as well.
Yes, it allowed me to wake up spiritually at this place in my life and bring that into my relationship with my children in a really healthy way. Because
Yeah, it's
when,
beautiful.
when we're not dealing with our trauma, when we're not recognizing what it is, spirituality can really hurt children when it's not delivered in the right context, right? And so when we recognize all of that, we can enjoy that part of, yeah.
Exactly. What would you say, Kristen, are some of your favorite outcomes in terms of your now relationship with your daughter or communication or connection?
Oh gosh, it's been incredible. And I will say this, we did this what, 2, 3 years ago? Has it
Was
been
it?
3 years now?
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was like a year ago.
I know, right? Time flies. Um, so much has changed. And I would say because I was so focused on learning to speak her language with this, um, we have learned how to, and I'm blessed. I mean, she was almost 14 when we started this, I think. So right in that really yikes place. And now she's 17, and so the yikes are we're good. I mean, but I'm able to just talk to her and be curious about how she's feeling and not assume anything, not take on a ton of guilt. Um, if she says to me, I don't want to talk to you, it's like, that's just where she is, and I don't have to own that being about me in that moment. I can I'm like, okay, your brain is not going to be developed until you're 25. You're only 16 now.
That's right.
And I can just relax in that because there's a lot that I've had to let go of in the parenting messages that I grew up with and in the parenting messages that are unfortunately still in the church sometimes and in society. It's like, if I'm going to raise my children to be the people God created them to be individually, then I'm focused on who they are and I'm looking at them the way God would look at them individually, uniquely.
Mhm.
And that means understanding that I'm the mom that he made for them and allowing the other judgments of things to fall away and just be so right there, laser focused on them. I know how to set time for them. I know how to reflectively listen with, like I said, curiosity versus judgment, what might come across as judgment. And that there's so much more peace in the house. She still has her tantrums and her freak out moments and all of that, and she's allowed to because we've created the safe space for her to do that. But I'm not handing her to my husband going, I can't do this, and running out the house. I'm not tag teaming him and going, I can't deal with this, and leaving the house. I'm able to be present and say to her, I hate that this is the nervous system you've inherited, and I'm so sorry. I'm able to apologize to her without feeling guilty and just
Huge.
still say, I'm here for you when you're able to, when you've settled down a little bit. And if you need me to hold you or put my hand over your heart to help you settle, I can do that. I could have never done that before.
So good. That has created so much safety for her. What do you notice, as far as, like, the result in her? Because we know how connected they are to us
Mm,
and, how much they're vibing off of us and vice versa. But
yeah.
you've created some really beautiful energetic boundaries. You've just described them beautifully and embodied them so people can see what you're describing. It's a feeling, it's a sense, it's a certainty, it's a confidence. You're so much calmer now around handling her, where that was a scary thing before. You're like, it's okay. It's okay. What have you noticed has changed in her, if anything at all, with you
Yeah.
being
Um, she comes to me now more and is more respectful of the boundaries that I've set.
Yes.
It's like, sleep is important to both of us, honey. And I know that your brain gets going at a certain time. If you absolutely have an emergency that you have to talk to us about, absolutely. But she has come to a place now where she knows I'm safe. I'm okay until the morning if this is not, a 3 alarm fire. Um, um, that I've noticed. I've also noticed that she has gotten very good with her communication in saying, because she understands boundaries and where we've set ours, that she's good at setting hers. And
Yes.
she'll say, Mom, I want to talk to you about this, but I can't talk to you right now because I can tell that you're stressed. So can we set a time to talk? I'm like,
That's huge for her.
I'm like, somebody wake me up.
Oh
Is
my,
this happening? Like,
it's so good.
it is. And I never in a million years thought that would. You used to say in our training, the more you speak this language and the more you follow through, you're going to see it show up in your children. Like that was something I remember you saying. And I would just be like, oh, from your lips to God's ears, woman, because I know. And it just takes time,
It
but it's
takes time.
true.
And depending on the kid, it takes time. And you have a kiddo with several different things going on that are really distracting in her brain and in her
Yes.
body. And so the fact that she's able to say to know, there's so many layers in that, to notice what she's feeling, to notice her needs, and
Yeah.
then to articulate them to you, to go, I want your help. She's asking for help, ready to receive, but let's do it at a time. I mean, it just sounds like something a really emotional, mature adult would say. That's amazing,
Right.
Kristen.
And
Beautiful
well,
work.
oh, well, and you used to talk about manifesting, and I was just praying so much for friends for her that would
Yes.
be emotionally aware and would just be able to accept her in her struggles, but would also communicate that. And guess what happened? She's
Did she
been,
make a friend?
she has made a beautiful friend. I'm like, I just, yeah, I mean, it's not, we're not perfect at all,
Ah,
but we are so much more peaceful, right? And we are so much more, we're seeing progress. So,
yeah, it's never about perfect, and we'll never achieve perfect. I've been inviting people in the workshop this week to really notice where we are holding ourselves or kids to an impossible standard, and really just inviting people to put that down for a little bit and instead look at what we can change and look at what you do want to be different. And when we summon the courage like you did to say, I really do want the help. I really want to just, and everybody has to take a moment to figure that out, how they're
yes.
going to step into that and up level or invest or whatever, make the time, whatever it is. But I'm so grateful for you sharing your journey because you did say yes to that, what your heart was pulling you toward. And your family gets to live the result of it every day now. You get to watch your daughter launch in a few years now and not feel half as afraid as you were not very long ago. And it's such a blessing to know you're giving her that safety. I'm just really applauding you
Well,
and all
thank
of the
you.
work you've done. Is there anything that you'd want to share with anyone, listening in, moms who are struggling with these same things?
Yes. Two things. First of all, deal with your trauma. It is the thing that is standing between you and peace. And I guarantee it is what is getting in between you and your kids if you feel like you can't communicate, you can't listen, you can't deal with it. That's what it is. Second, everybody's, I don't know where everybody is at in their life. I was at a place in my life where it was time to look at where do we really want to go with this thing? Because when our kids are younger, we're home with them, we're so focused on the day to day, but they get to a place where you're not potty training anymore. You're not, you're communicating with these little lights, these little balls of energy. And you start to you find yourself in that place all of a sudden, right? It's not all of this physical work anymore, and they're not babies anymore.
Right.
It happens for different parents at different phases and different kids. But um, we start to think, okay, what's next? And where am I investing? Am I going to invest in going back to college, back to school? Am I going to invest in myself physically because I need to find a personal trainer? And one thing I just want to say, because every woman, every mom is going to go through this perimenopause and menopause. If you think your trauma is tough now, try dealing with it in perimenopause with no help. It will kick your ass to the floor. And then the emotions of your kids will kick your ass to the floor. And that is what I really truly believe has wrecked so many relationships for moms over the years. And if you don't want to go through what your mom went through, or your sister, or whatever it was that you saw, deal with your trauma and take the time to make the investment of your time, because your mental health is all tied in to your physical and your spiritual. And it's all as equally important in moving forward with your kiddos. That's the example you're setting for them, and that's what they're going to see. That's what's going to hang, I don't know what else to
Yeah, and then
say.
that's what they're going to live
That's what they're going to
too.
live. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah. This is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. You guys, please give Kristen lots and lots of love, appreciation, and comments. Give her lots of hearts. It's not easy to make time out of your busy work and family life. And we just appreciate you. I appreciate you so much for sharing your wisdom and your learning and your journey here with this community that's so awesome. And you're so awesome.
Could not
I
have
just,
done it without you, Honor. I just love you to death, and I
oh,
just couldn't recommend the program enough.
Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And so you guys can ask us questions. You can drop them in the comments under the live stream, and we'll be back on tomorrow for the live session, day 4 of our 4-day reset for moms in perimenopause. Thank you so much, Kristen.